Welcome to this bonus human to human episode with Heidi B. We did an episode earlier this week all about her book, Relationship Ready, How to Stop Fucking Randos and Start Cupcaking Your Soulmate. And so at the end of the call, I really wanted to pick her brain on how she wrote and self-published this book. So this episode is a really quick 10-minute spiel on how she wrote her book and got it published. And it is available on Amazon and Audible. And I would definitely go check it out and read or listen to it if I were you. Seriously, such a good book. And so I just wanted to pick your brain on just booking or writing your book yourself and how you did that, like how you found like a publisher. Did you self-publish?
Yeah. So I self-published. For a minute, I thought about going a traditional publishing route because, of course, like my ego would love for me to have a book deal and a cash advance and all of this stuff. And then I did a little research into what it takes to get a book deal, and I was like, no, thank you. Because, it's a lot of waiting to be selected. It's a lot of pitching and waiting to be selected. When I decided that I wanted to write the book, like I said, I knew that I wanted women to know that they weren't alone. I knew I was willing to put all my shit on blast. And I had written like a 20-page kind of PDF that I was selling on my website that was around just like the work that was involved that didn't have as much story attached to it. So I decided okay, I was working for the city of Portland. I was a crime analyst, which sounds very cool, but really is just a lot of Excel spreadsheets.
I believe it.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself a year to write this book. So my last day of working for the city was October 1st of 2018. No, sorry, October 2nd of 2018. And I self-published the book on October 1st of 2019.
Wow.
Which was wild. It was wild. I think, honestly, truly the most challenging part about writing a book is writing it, sitting down to write it. So my advice around that was this. Look, the average self-published book is about between 45 and 60,000 words. So if you divide 45,000 words by 15, you've got 15 3,000 word chapters. Okay, 3,000 words is like a 7 to 10 page essay. If you've been to university and you've ever had to write a 10-page paper. Okay, now I'm like, okay, I just got to write 15 10-page papers about my life. Okay, so
I like that.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, I can do that. Then I'm like, well, if I divided my book into 3 sections, then I would have 5 essays per section. So one section I know is going to be the how-to of how to do the work. One section I know is going to be the coming of age stuff. And then the final section is going to be, so then I divided it into sections so I could do 5 essays per section. And then once I had that, then it was really just okay, now open your laptop and start writing. One of the things that's interesting about doing this project was look, I did not buy a new laptop. I didn't get a brand new office. I didn't get a desk. I did not spend any money to do this. I have a 14-year-old stepdaughter who was 12 at the time, who had a Chromebook that she wasn't using that had probably had Google Docs on it. And I was like, I'm going to borrow your Chromebook and I'm just going to, don't open these files. And I just started typing them. Right. And so and honestly, the writing came pretty easily because I love storytelling. I will give you one trick, which is that if you're struggling to actually do the writing, but you love storytelling, which is something I know you love to do because you're on a microphone, all the time here. You can just record, you can storytell, and just record it. And then you can send it to a transcriptionist, and within 24 hours, they'll have typed it up and returned it to you in a Word document. And then you go, at least you have then something that you can be like, okay, what do I want to move around here or there or whatever. So a lot of people, I think, I know, that's
a great idea.
I did do that with one of my chapters because I had already told my sobriety story and it had been recorded somewhere. And so I had an hour-long recording of it. And so I sent that off to a transcriptionist. She returned it to me the next day. And then I was able to kind of take bits and pieces of it and move it around. So that was kind of the only real hack that I discovered. But one of the things that's kind of cool about the self-publishing process is that Amazon makes it very easy to self-publish. And so once you've got your book ready, your manuscript ready, you've edited it, you've proofread it, you've done whatever, then you basically upload it to Amazon and they're like, okay, which I mean, I was like, isn't anyone gonna read this? and they're like,
just do it.
You can do it. So Amazon does do a scan for hate speech, which I think they should. But
yes.
Other than that, it's like if you upload it and there's no hate speech in it, then you hit yes and it's good to go, right? So that was kind of wild because, of course, after I'd proofread it, I'd hired an editor, I'd done some stuff, and of course, like on the 4th page on the print version, there's a typo on the, it's like, God damn it. But there's really no quality control. So basically, when you're ready to upload it, you just do that. And so there were places that I spent money that I wish I wouldn't have. I did not need an editor because I had a strong enough editorial voice of my own. I had a strong enough writing voice. I actually did not end up using any of the editing that editor did. I just set it all to the side. I did hire someone to do the cover for me because I'm not an artist. And so that I paid about $800 for a friend of mine who is in graphic design to do the cover for me. There were some things about book covers that I was not aware of. Like, of course, I was like, I want to be on the cover. And she was like, we shouldn't put you on the cover. Just because too many people will think like, oh, I don't look like this woman, and so this doesn't apply to me. Yeah. And so in an age where, like, with the purpose of the book being that I didn't want anyone to think they're alone, I certainly would hate for someone to see my face on the cover or the back cover or something, because I do have a little square on the back cover. I would hate for someone to see my face and go, oh, I don't look like her. This wouldn't work for me. Right. So I wouldn't have known that though, so hiring a graphic designer for the cover was a great choice. And then really just kind of going like, I had that deadline. I knew I wanted to reach it. And once I started to think about it in terms of groups of essays, that made it much easier. I also wrote it in 15 different documents. So I did not write like just one big long document. And the last thing I did was I did not edit any of the first drafts. So the first drafts were just like, write it. Don't edit it. Don't worry about the punctuation. Don't worry about the tense. Don't worry about the title. Just get something on paper.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
It's really, it's easier than we think. And that is what I'm talking about. Like that there is a platform where you just upload your Word document once you've got it in the font you want and the margins the way you want. It's like, oh my God, as women, we have so much more power to tell our stories than we ever have before via podcast, via books. And then I knew somebody who had an audio studio. So I went in and recorded the Audible version of it on at the studio, this like rundown sound studio in Milwaukee, Oregon, which I love them. They do my editing for my own podcast, but that cost me like $80 to go in there and do that session. So, it's easier than we think. And honestly, usually what happens for us is we get in our own way of being unwilling to share ourselves and our story because it's embarrassing or terrifying or what would our parents think or whatever. And in those moments, it's like, there is a woman who needs to hear this and I need her to know she's not alone. And so I do not care what my family thinks. I'm going to keep going.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I'm like, that is the perfect bow, like 100%, because we just get so much from other people's stories. I got so much from reading your book and like all the things you put into practice and you so authentically sharing your story, these stories that we can, feel embarrassed about or ashamed of. You're like, hey, this is what I did. And it normalized that, so many people go through something similar. And it's just amazing to read about you taking your power back and doing this for yourself and knowing that I can too. And everyone can.
Oh, it makes my heart so full. Thank you. Like, have you ever seen that movie Step Brothers? I'm like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with you now.
Oh my God, I think so. I thought that earlier in the episode. Oh, okay. So please shout out any, first of all, if you haven't checked out the book, Relationship Ready, How I Stopped Fucking Randos and Started Cupcaking My Soulmate, go read it. It's an amazing quick read and it's just full of so much goodness, but please shout out any other platforms.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm on Instagram. That's mostly where I live. I tried TikTok, but I'm just like, oh my God, TikTok is so funny that I found myself creatively really stuck because I'm like, oh my God, people on this platform are hilarious. So anyway, I tried to but mostly on Instagram at Heidi B Coaching. You can find me there. When you get there, you can see my link tree. I've got, one of the things I think is so valuable is that I want the work that I'm doing to be accessible to a lot of people. So you can get the Kindle version of this book for as little as $3.49. And then, I have a group coaching program that's right in the middle. It's $50 a month. You can quit anytime, which is kind of cool. But it's basically for single women who are looking to level up their love lives and date differently. And we do weekly calls and Facebook group and one-on-one calls. It's like got a great mix of different ways for me to support single women. So that's like $50 a month. I have an online course, and then I have one-on-one coaching, which the biggest online or the biggest one-on-one coaching package I have is $12.99 for 12 calls. So there's a really wide variety of access points, and it's because I think this work is important and I want you to have your hands on it, whether you can afford $1,200 or $3.49. So the moral of the story is find me on Instagram at Heidi B Coaching, and then you can check out my website, HeidiBCoaching.com.
It was so much fun to have Heidi on the show. If you haven't already listened to our first full episode called How to Get Relationship Ready with Heidi B, make sure you listen to that one. This episode is where we dive into her book and truly how you can change your strategies and change how you are going about your regular dating life in order to level it up. And as Heidi said, make sure you check out her on Instagram, Heidi B Coaching. She also has an offer if you are looking to write your own book and you need an accountability editor person. She can be your gal. So anyway, thank you, Heidi, for being on. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure you subscribe to the show. I hope this episode was helpful to you, and check us out on Instagram at Jessica J. McDonald and at Human to Human Pod, and I will see you on Tuesday.